Hello friends, welcome back to our channel, Tech Basics Daily. In our last video, we discussed the top 10 Java interview questions. If you haven't watched that video yet, I highly recommend you watch it before continuing with this video. The link is available in the description. So, without any further delay, let's get started with the next 10 important Java interview questions. First question: what are control statements in Java? Control statements in Java are statements used to control the flow or execution order of a program based on conditions or requirements. Normally, a Java program executes one statement after another, from top to bottom. But in real-time programs, we may need to make decisions, repeat some statements, or stop certain statements. To handle these situations, Java provides control statements. For example, suppose we want to check whether a person is eligible to vote. We need to check a condition first. Based on the result, Java should execute the appropriate block of code. This can be done using control statements. Second question: how many types of control statements are there in Java? There are three main types of control statements in Java. First, decision-making statements used to make decisions based on conditions. Examples: if else, else if, switch. Second, looping statements used to execute a block of code repeatedly. Examples: for, while, do while. Third, jump statements used to transfer control from one part of the program to another. Examples: break, continue, return. Third question: what are decision-making statements in Java? Explain them. Decision-making statements are used when we want the program to choose one block of code based on a condition. Java provides: first, if statement, executes a block only when the condition is true. Second, if-else statement, used when there are two possible outcomes. Third, else-if statement, used when we have multiple conditions. Fourth, switch statement, used to select one option from multiple possible cases. Fourth question: what are looping statements in Java? Explain them. Looping statements are used to execute the same block of code repeatedly, as long as a particular condition is satisfied. Java has three main looping statements. First, for loop, generally used when we know how many times we want to execute the code. Second, while loop, used when the number of iterations may not be known in advance. Third, do while loop. The important point is that the body executes at least once, because the condition is checked after execution. Question 5. What are jump statements in Java? Explain them. Jump statements are used to transfer the control of execution from one part of the program to another. Java provides three jump statements. First, break statement, used to terminate a loop or switch statement. Second, continue statement, used to skip the current iteration and continue with the next iteration. Third, return statement, used to return control from a method. It can also return a value. Here, return sends the result back to the calling code. Sixth question: can we change the value of a variable after initialization? Yes, we can change the value of a normal variable after initialization, provided it is not declared as final. Here, age was initialized with 20, and later its value was changed to 25. Seventh question: what is a wrapper class in Java? A wrapper class is a class that converts or represents a primitive data type as an object. Java provides wrapper classes for all primitive data types. Here, int, primitive, integer, wrapper class. Eighth question: why do we need wrapper classes? Some Java features work with objects rather than primitives. For example, collections such as ArrayList store objects. We use integer, not int. Autoboxing, converting primitive wrapper object automatically. Unboxing, converting wrapper object, primitive automatically. Ninth question: what is the entry point of a Java program? How is it written? The main method is the entry point of a Java application. When we run a normal Java application, the JVM looks for the main method to begin execution. It is commonly written as public static void main string x args public. The JVM must be able to access the method static. The JVM can call the method without creating an object of the class. Void. The method does not return a value. Main. This is the conventional method name recognized as the application entry point. String x args, used to receive command line arguments. 10th question: can primitive data types store null? Why? No. Primitive data types cannot store null. Examples of primitive types: they store actual values, not object references. Example: int x equals null, compile time error. but a wrapper class can store null because it is an object reference type. Integer x equals null. This is valid. Why? Null represents no object reference. Primitive types are not objects, so they cannot hold null. Important interview comparison. So remember, primitive cannot store null. Reference type / wrapper can store null. That's all for today's top 10 Java interview questions. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to Tech Basics Daily. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video with the next 10 Java interview questions.